Good morning and welcome. This is our routinely scheduled Saturday morning cybersecurity webinar, open to everyone. So we welcome you. This is the Team CyberSecurity Sensei, also known as CS-Sensei. I'm Scotty Ward. Also online is Chris, one of the mentorship teams, and we are ready to get started. We have Parima and Nerman as our two mentees, but others will likely arrive. I'm pretty certain of that. So this morning, first thing I wanted to start off with was the mentees. How has your week been? What has gone on? Are you working on anything? Did you see anything? Did you read anything? Something that you want to share? Nerman, you might want to share about your resume.
Yeah, as I mentioned last time, I'm trying to apply for some job. I'm going to graduate like in a couple months, and I already started looking for some jobs, and I have kind of like few places to apply for a cybersecurity position, and now I'm just kind of like getting preparing my resume and my cover letter. Yeah, just working on those things. Yeah, besides that, nothing new, nothing else.
Okay, good. And the mentors were asked to provide feedback on Nerman's resume that he had drafted. And how did you receive it? What do you think about the feedback we gave, Nerman?
Oh, yeah, it was really useful. I was so happy to include my membership, Sensei membership, and I didn't know how to do it. Like I didn't want to put something that doesn't make sense. So everything you said, it looks really nice, and yeah, and I did that way, and then Chris, he gave me a lot of those suggestions, and he pointed some mistakes that I even didn't notice. So I also changed that. So yeah, I mean, it is really helpful, and really, I really appreciate it. Thank
Very
you,
good.
guys.
Also, as you are invited to events or something like that, remember that you can actually put your title on some of these. This is the one that I had from the Arizona Tech Council when I went to their cybersecurity summit a couple of weeks ago. Mine has the group name CyberSecurity Sensei, but you could just as easily put cybersecurity mentee. So rather than, you know, hi, I'm Nerman, or hi, I'm Parima, and I'm from U.S. Department of Labor, or, you know, whatever, hopeful or something like that, you can say I am a mentee, and that will spark conversation as well. You know, feel proud to say that you're part of this program. We're proud to be part of it, and I would dare say that my career doesn't hinge on being a cybersecurity mentor. I do this because I love doing it, and I want to help everybody get good cybersecurity jobs. So think about that when you are identifying yourself. Use the title of cybersecurity mentee. That's a way to show that you're working on your own self-improvement.
Yeah, I actually mentioned that when I spoke with the guy who is helping me to apply for this job. So I mentioned everything about our membership, and he said, like, once you go there for an interview, talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Tell them that you're the member of that group, like what you guys do, like, and mention everything. And I said, yeah, I will do it for sure.
Right. It's a valuable way to demonstrate that you are interested in the career field enough to be doing things, and you are interested in your own growth enough to be doing things nights and weekends for free, voluntarily. You know, that's a good thing. Also, I think I've been sharing this with everybody when I go out and do things that are cybersecurity related, or security related, or infrastructure protection related, or those sorts of things. You can do that as well. I think I showed you all the slide deck I used when I gave a presentation for the cloud computing class at University of Potomac, when I gave a talk on password security to a bunch of senior citizens here in Arizona, those sorts of things. Those all, oh, and also I do free tech support here in our development. It's about 500 homes. I do free tech support for anybody. I just got a call last night. I got to call her back. She said, hey, my Google Home isn't working anymore because we changed our phone systems. I'm like, oh, well, I could probably trudge through that and figure out a way to help her. So I've got to call her back, make an appointment, go over and see her. A lot of people call up and say, hey, my printing isn't working or whatever. And sometimes it's a real easy fix, and sometimes it's a challenge. But those are things that help you hone your skills. So put those in there as well. If you have started to, like I do, I offer to do free tech support for 500 houses here in this development. I put that down. If I am a speaker, if I've given presentations, I say I give presentations on this sort of thing. That also demonstrates my willingness to help others get better. So start thinking about doing that within your local spheres of influence so that you can put it on your resume. That you do have an ulterior motive when you do this. You want to be able to list experience. Okay, I will demonstrate to other people that I am able to help them build their trust in me, and that way it turns into something that I can put on my resume that says I do this. Ron, you were the person that submitted the technical article to me, so you should put down that you are a technical author. You wrote an article. I gave lots of hints on what to write, how to write it, and what it should look like when it was done, but you actually did the time. So you can say you wrote an article for publication. You don't have to say exactly where it was, but wrote an article on what you wrote it on. So those all point to your desire to help people's lives. And that's all very important in a resume. So be thinking about ways that you can help people around you so that it ends up on your resume. Any questions or comments? Any more shares? By the way, good morning, Ron. Parima, Ron, anything go on this week that you want to share? Thank you, Nerman, by the way.
This week I just returned from traveling, so I'm not quite engaged just yet.
Okay. Okay. So the second thing I wanted to share this morning was in reference to that conversation about default passwords. I think you saw on Facebook. We had a conversation. I sparked it by saying, guess what? My router wasn't set to automatically update, and I was a few firmware versions behind when I checked it this week. I said, wow, I could have sworn I had done that, but I didn't. It was, you know, the old checkbox that says automatically update, install updates when they're received. I hadn't turned it on. So that sparked a conversation, and we talked about, someone said, I think it was, well, whoever, I think it was, don't remember, somebody said they were getting ready to put together their own home, network equipment type stuff, and I said, remember default passwords. So I just went out into Google and I literally said router default passwords, and this says, it was published less than a month ago, and it says, by the way, when you go buy your routers, this is typically the default login and password for them. Now, understandably, this is usually a risk internally, so within your house, but I wouldn't risk it. I would say that if you get a new system, for example, I have a D-Link system, and I think it's D-Link. I think it's D-Link. So I went in and made sure that my default password, login and password, were not these. It's just something to recommend to people. If you are doing tech support for your family, friends, and neighbors, you could go over and help them by resetting their default password. And by the way, write it down somewhere that they can keep it. Mine are literally on a card underneath the router. The default password for the router is underneath the router. It's not on the router, but it's underneath it. So yes, if somebody comes into my house and I go to the bathroom, they could lift my router and go, oh, look, here's the default admin password. But again, typically they can't get to it unless they're inside your house. They're on your network. And you might also help people to, once you've helped them reset their default router, help them to set up a guest network that allows them to connect in as guests but not see any devices in your local network. Internet access without the risk of being able to see all of my security cameras or laptops or mobile devices or those sorts of things that all connect into the regular network. No, start a guest network and name it, whatever -guest, so that these people will have the ability to segment their organizational router, which in this case is their home, and it's more secure that way. You have just helped them. You can put that you have, upgraded somebody's network security in your resume. So the main takeaway here is many things come with default passwords, and if it's published on the internet. You get it in your little how-to or welcome to Cisco, whatever that came in the box, it's also on the internet too. So you should always make sure that you aren't carrying those defaults. And the people around you don't have these defaults as well. Any discussion about this? Thoughts about this? Anybody have any war stories from something that you've experienced that you didn't want to share about? Okay, great. Next one, CyberTech Dave. CyberTech Dave. He and I had a conversation this week. He has gotten laid off, but the interesting thing that I noted, if you go out and become one of his friends, I do recommend you follow him on LinkedIn and here on YouTube. You notice he's got 1,360 subscribers and 7 videos. So it's obvious he does much of his stuff live. He's not accumulating videos like we are. But when he went out and said, out on LinkedIn, and said, hey, everybody, just wanted to let you know that I have been laid off and I'm looking for a new employment. Here's my credentials. Here's what I've done. Here's my passion. And here's where I want to land. Many people were very helpful in recommending things to him. Somebody said, I turned your information over to our recruiter. They should be contacting you shortly, etc. It is very helpful for you to build your network. So I want to remind everyone that LinkedIn is a resource value to you. So please look it up. There it is, Dave Meese, Cybertech Dave. I look at it, he has 72,000 followers. He has really put himself out there, and so now, because he said, hey, I've been laid off, they got rid of my slot at my organization, so I'm looking for something, cyber threat intel or something else. Great. He already has 72,000 people that are watching out for him. It's a great way to build your associations. Your network is actually an asset for you. Build your network. Get out there and share with other people. When you see them sharing, ask to friend them, or whatever it's called. Follow them on LinkedIn. It is all beneficial to you to be able to have that reach back of people who are going to watch out for you and be helpful to you if you need it. Chris, do you have any thoughts or suggestions about LinkedIn and your networks?
One of the things that Cybertech Dave does is, and you can see it below in the window, is the 100-day challenge. And in that 100-day challenge, he asks you to participate in it to grow your network. And what you do is you document for 100 days what you've learned in cybersecurity, and here's his instructions below on what you do. And then you write a post about cybersecurity, and then you like and share with others, and you connect with others from there, and you can read through the steps of what to do. And that's how you would get a good start in building your network. One of the things I have done, not related to what Cybertech Dave does, but quite similar, is when the Security Plus, when I did the presentation on Security Plus versus the Certified in Cybersecurity, I immediately shared that video and provided a little description on what I did in that video, and that provides it help you grow your network from there. I've also documented on and I have my Good Look t-shirt on today, that one of the conferences I went to that was sponsored by one of the media firms in the DC area related to cybersecurity. Here we go.
Very good.
T-shirt. They do different topics about government work, especially cybersecurity, technology, and leadership. And what I did when I participated in that conference, I actually did a little small write-up of what I learned in that conference, and anybody who liked my post, I immediately reached out to them and said, hey, I would like to connect and talk with you guys sometime about the topics in general. But it helps you build and grow your network, and the more people you know, the more likely you will find a job in the end. And that's just one way to get what you need for your job.
Very good. I fully agree. If you are going to be active, this is a group of people that you can be active with and not feel bad about just being a mentee. And as you notice, even people who have jobs move around. So it's helpful for you to be active and part of it. If you ever want to be friends with me, that's absolutely fine. I guess you could say I'm an early adopter let me do my share again. I'm an early adopter because if you notice, my link is Scotty Ward, not Scotty Ward 2010 or Scotty Ward, cat lover or anything like that. It's Scotty Ward. So yeah, I got into LinkedIn very early. Also, business cards. If you ever go to an event or an activity or meet somebody, I'll give you this example. This is what I wore when I went to the CyberSecurity Summit in Tempe. But look at what I did on the back of it. See, this is the Cybersecurity Mentorship Program QR code. So I'd be sitting talking to people and I'd say, hey, here's my QR code. And they'd go, oh, okay, and scan my badge. Poof, immediate knowledge. You are immediately on their contacts. And last of all, business cards. Look at this, Palo Alto Networks. 2 guys from Palo Alto Networks. Let's see, this one was...
Are you sharing your camera?
Oh, am I?
You're not.
Oh.
You're sharing your screen. You're sharing your screen versus your camera. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. So when you go to these events, make sure to grab people's cards. She was in the seminars when they were standing up talking about stuff, and I happened to find a seat down front. Why not? Don't be part of the masses and, walk in the door and sit at the very first seat you can. No, be bold. Walk down and meet some of the movers and shakers. Guess where the presenters sit in an auditorium? Down in front. Guess where I sat? Down in front. There's nothing wrong with doing that. I would tend to say that we as technicians, technical people, tend to be strong in tech and not so strong in social skills. Chris pointed out the extreme value of being able to speak by going to groups like Toastmasters. I fully agree. If you don't speak well or think that you need to polish up your speaking skills, Toastmasters is a way to do it. But also, when you walk into a room, don't be shy. Don't hang around the outside edge, looking at people and, oh yeah, look at those folks over there. They're talking about. Walk into them. Be bold, because you are demonstrating what you can do to be of value to an organization if they hire you. And if all you do is hang around on the fringes, all they know is, oh, look, he's wearing a blue shirt. That's it. That's all they know about you. And they will immediately forget you. So be bold. Be open. Step into conversations. I remember when I was at that Cybersecurity Summit, and I saw literally an entire high school class come in the door with their teacher. In fact, I watched them get off their bus, and I immediately walked over with a handful of cards and said, hey, students, here's a cybersecurity mentorship program. It's free. Everybody's welcome. We do this Saturday mornings. Come on in, And then I turned to the teacher, and I handed him a group of cards and said, share this with anybody who was unable to make it, and let's you and I talk, because I want to partner with you. Wow. How they didn't get an idea that I was pushy. They got an idea that I was, how do I say this, energetic and excited about what I do. I'm also there to be a help to them, not just somebody who walks in and says, I'm looking for more information. Where can I find resources? Well, maybe not in a conversation where you're in like this. This was the summit, I was a resource. They are resources. So I just walked in and said, hi, I'm Scotty Ward. Very nice to meet you. Here's my stuff. Contact me anytime. Go off to the next group. Be bold. It will help people break through not only your shell, helps you break through your shell, but it helps them break through their shells. That whole group of students, if there's one thing I can say about them, every single one of them looked like a deer in the headlights. They had these blank expressions on their faces, and they were just like looking around. It was obviously their first big tech activity that they had attended, and they weren't sure what to make of it. So, hey, guys, nice to have you here. You have a very smart teacher who thought enough to bring you to this activity. Drink in as much as you can. Go to all the booths. Get all their cute little, coolie holders and those sorts of things. Get it all. Go ahead. Enjoy. Welcome to cybersecurity. And off I went. So break through those barriers early on with groups. Chris.
It's okay to say you've never heard of a company before, because that opens the door to the company to talk about them, and you get to learn more about them. I kind of wish I had a high school or a college that kind of pulled me aside and took me to conferences and say, hey, Chris, go ahead and go for it.
Right.
Small little background about me. I was a teacher, and before I was in IT, and then before I was an analyst, Department of Labor, and I picked a profession that was in high demand, that they were literally throwing themselves at you to get you into a job. And this was at a time when there was a math teacher, like a severe math teacher shortage, and I got offers on the ground as a math teacher, just my math teaching credential, even before I graduated high school. And I sat there going, they're that desperate. There's something up with their district. But one guy offered me almost the whole world with like $2,000 signing bonus. We get you supplies. You get time off, all that kind of stuff. Not going to say it's going to happen in the cybersecurity area, but the fact that you are picking cybersecurity, they do want you in the end, and they will talk to you. And if you express even a slight sense of curiosity about their company, it is all about them, and you want to have them come to you. You want to have them open up and have them talk about their company with you. And don't be afraid to ask questions about their company, because that's the way you get to learn about it, about their company.
Yep, very good. Very good. One other thing that I would like to point out, and this is just a mindset discussion item, but a lot of people have in their mind that you are trying to approach a company and show your benefit to them so they will be incentivized to hire you. But here's something to think about. I spent time in the federal government as well as private sector, hired dozens of people, hundreds of people, and there's one thing that you have to recognize. This is an industry where there appears to be a lot of movement, a lot of activity, a lot of excitement, and a lot of people entering at the ground level, at the entry level. But this is not a case of, it's not always a case where you are the company. Let's say I'm, company XYZ, and I'm going to use my little, thing again. I'm company XYZ, and I'm the representative for that company. So you go to me and you say, gee, I'm looking for, oh, maybe not. What they're looking for when they go to these events, they're not looking at your badge, in this case, to say, I'm looking for somebody who says, I am a cyber threat intelligence analyst. No, this is me and my current employment or company or whatever, but the main thing they're looking at is me. Okay? You are the resource. You are the commodity. And many companies, many organizations are hurting because they can't find the right people. There are lots of people wandering around, but when you get down to the brass tacks of what we're trying to do here and what we are, where we are currently, many of these organizations have a shortage, and they are losing money, or their current staff are stressing out because they haven't been able to hire enough of you. Not that I want to join your group. No, they are looking for people that have strengths. So be that person that goes out and steps into their group and says, hi, I could be your next cybersecurity threat intelligence analyst. You could do that. So sell yourself. I watched at this summit that I was at 2 weeks ago, a lot of people were walking around just not saying anything to anybody. Not me, man. I tried to visit every single table I could. I spoke with everyone, and if I didn't know, I would literally walk up, take a look at their whole table, see what they were recommending to me, information, cards, pens, whatever, and then I'd look up at them, get eye contact, and say, hi, I'm Scotty Ward. Tell me about this. And away they go. They're into their business sales pitch. Let them do it. And make sure that they recognize that you are a positive person, you are exciting to be around or whatever, and just sell yourself. You're selling yourself by listening to them. It's all in who you are. So when you go to these events, be yourself. Be excited. Be somebody who's happy to share about themselves. Chris, thoughts?
Another thing you can do, if you find that you're just a participant, you're walking around, you're like, I don't know what I want to do. A lot of these events are looking for volunteers. And you volunteer yourself, you're actually on a duty to help people in their need based on your volunteering for that event. And I'll give you an example. I did DLL Tech Day last Thursday, but I did DLL Tech Day as a volunteer. In the morning I was a crowd manager, making sure everybody was going through the choke points of the different parts of the Department of Labor building fine. And then on the afternoon after lunch, I was working the question tables in the flag table and making sure people were checked in. But that's just the best way to meet people and help people out, and also tell those people that, hey, you're willing to be a volunteer. And that's where you can do your elevator story and your pitch from there. Very quick story. When I was doing my walk around in crowd control in the morning, I identified the person who created the Federal Cybersecurity Reskilling Academy. And I said, hey, are you this person? And I'm censoring that person's name, just I don't want everybody there with that. And the person went, yeah, that's me. And I go, I'm one of your Reskilling Academy graduates, and thank you very much, because it helped me got from being an analyst to a IT specialist. And that person goes, oh, really? And I said, I can't thank you 1,000 times for this. You go, and let me find something out for you, because I'm trying to champion this whole program to Congress. So don't be shocked if you get a contact from me later on. So I'm on call for something that person wants to do in the future, if that need be. I'm waiting to see where that goes out, but if you volunteer, that's your crutch, your pivot to help you with your networking. If you are scared of being a participant and just walking around and cold approaching everybody, that's just a helpful hint for our mentees and anybody who wants to go into a conference is volunteer.
Excellent idea. Yeah, that's very good, Chris. And that's the other thing. You notice Chris shared how they helped him. And perhaps you could be in that sort of place. Chris immediately spoke to that person and gave positive feedback to the program that this person founded and said, it was a big help, thank you. Didn't have to do very much of anything except say, I'm here as a result of your program. So that's very helpful. Be positive. Be somebody who gives to other people to help make other people's lives easier. Volunteer. Oh, and that's the other thing. If you go to an activity and it looks like it was a bust, well, you might look into the possibility of going to that activity one more time before you give up on it. Like if they hold it every year, go back next year and see if it's still boring or underattended or whatever. You know, give them an opportunity, but that also shows your durability. There are many positives to being recognized. When I went into this tech day with, literally I had a box of business cards. My boxes are back there, but I had a box of business cards. Nobody else carried a box of business cards. So guess what? When I go next time, people are going to say, oh yeah, you're the guy with the business cards. Yep, that was me. Whatever. Just get out of yourself, be friendly, be positive, and let people see that they can work with you. And maybe that'll turn into employment. Chris, last time around.
Very last hint. Come into these events with a plan. And what I mean by that, not a plan of saying I want a job, I'm going to have a job at the end of this event. Say, when I come to this event, I'm going to meet 3 people. And you're going to find out that once you talk to the first person, it's fine. Once you talk to the second person, it gets better. And then when you get to the third person, you're like, oh, wait a minute, this is not that bad. I didn't die. Okay, let's continue talking. And if you set yourself that kind of goal, or if I like the way Scotty did it, I came in with a box of business cards. I want to get away as many of these business cards as I can to people to get the word out about me or about my program. Those are just great starters if you're struggling with the petrification of fear of approaching and talking to people in those events. And I'm speaking from experience because I was that person who was wide-eyed and had no clue where to start.
Very good. Very good. Anybody else have anything to share? Thoughts or ideas before we move to the next topic? Okay, y'all are being quiet today. Okay, so I am sharing the SANS resource. This is something that was sent to me in my email, and I just shared to the group. Please remember that you also can share resources that you find with the team. And in fact, it is one of, okay, thank you, Derek. It is one of the parts of your homework assignments that we ask everybody to do. So I found this thing, and it talked about free training and events, free cybersecurity resources, white papers, webcasts, posters and cheat sheets, a blog, security awareness report, Internet Storm Center, all free. So these are the sorts of things that you can start viewing, find out if they're valuable to you, and add them to your bookmarks, for lack of a better way of saying it. Find free resources and then share them with the team so that we all get smarter. Okay, but this one was from SANS. Chris calls it SANS. I don't know what it is, but this is a very old and well-respected organization. They were around in the 1990s. And I remember when they first started to have a web presence. So big respect for SANS. And it says, oh, join for free. JoinSANS.org for free. Excellent. Free is good. So this is the sort of thing that will help you to build your network so that you'll be more informed. You will get more information. You can make more contacts. Again, it's all good for you. Any discussions or feedback? Thoughts or ideas? Anything other than SANS? Have you found any good resources, team?
I would go back to the ISC squared org free materials as well.
Mm-hmm.
They do have that, yes, certified in cybersecurity. They do also have a free resource with different blogs and articles and videos they do.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you, Chris. Yeah.
I might share something next time. I receive a lot of those emails from Offensive Security and Big Defender, and usually when I check those emails, the link, there are a lot of useful things, and they also have every week they have something to post regarding cybersecurity, and they have different topics, and it's really helpful, useful. So yeah, I will share next time something I will find, and I will put it on the side and then share with everyone.
Very good. Thank you. Yeah. I can remember my pastor talked about this, and he basically said, I can't be everywhere at once. You guys can. You're going to be in places that I will never get to. You're going to see people, you're going to meet people that I will not be able to see or meet unless you bring them to church. So the point is, everybody on this team, you're in areas, you're viewing activities, you're discovering stuff in the news that I may or may not have seen. So share. That's how we all get better. We all become stronger when you find something and say, ooh, look what I found. And we have the ability to discuss it. So bring it back here to the group. We all get smarter as a result. Okay, last topic before we, I think we'll be done after this one. Dragos. Did any of you read the Dragos deconstruction that they published about their compromise? When somebody came in and literally infiltrated their network, they put down what happened, what the perpetrator attempted to do, where they were successful, where they weren't successful, etc. Did anybody read much about this or have any thoughts about it?
I read it on the headline. I haven't gone down to the details yet, Scotty, but I'm very curious about it. Once I find time, I'm going to read about it. They have an office that is like 10 minutes down the road from me, and I'm curious about them. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. The important thing that they point out is that this person succeeded in getting into their organizational network by impersonating a new employee. And as a result, they had this automatic account provisioning process. Yes, it is, Derek. This is after they've done their evaluation, after they've stopped these people from being in their network, they literally published, this is what happened. And they literally they posted the timeline, as you can see on the screen, but then they even went so far as to show texts that they said as soon as these folks weren't able to get into network resources, they started texting executives within the company trying to extort them to give them money so that they would, so that we'll leave you alone or whatever. None of the executives at Dragos responded. All they did was they shared this information internally with their network, and these folks weren't successful. But the number one thing that Dragos points out in here, and you can read this yourself, when you look at the timeline, it says this person tried to access this resource, whatever it was, contracting or help desk system or customer support, financial system, RFP system. They said they didn't get into it because of one thing: role-based access control. They had an established RBAC system that said, if you are this, then you have access to this network or this resource. If you are not this, then you don't. And they pointed out throughout, these people attempted to get to this system, blocked because of RBAC. Why? Because new employees don't get access to this system. They attempted to get to this. Nope, not yet, because they hadn't finished their new employee onboarding. They tried to get into this. Nope, new employees don't get this. They tried to get to this. Nope, new employees don't get this. And they pointed out that, yes, the person successfully got into their network, person or people or whatever, but Derek, you'll have to read the actual article to be able to tell for sure. I was focused not on what their system was comprised of. Derek asked, is this Active Directory? I don't know for sure. But I would presume that, as with many of us, Active Directory is part of their role-based control. I know for us, we lean heavily on RBAC. But what they were saying was they had already designed their system and their access to say, this type of person gets this type of access. They didn't start off with the default, everybody has access, and then we try and restrict it down. No, start from the bottom up. That's called zero trust. Thank you. That's called zero trust, and you start with nobody gets in. And then you go from there and say, okay, well, if you're a new employee, you have access to this. If you are in the finance organization, you have access to this. And they pointed out throughout this, RBAC saved their network. And they were very transparent about it. So it's a good read, but it also points out in the share here how bold these attackers can be. Hey, you don't care about your customers because you're not answering me. They try any way they can to reel you in and get you to respond to them. Don't respond. There was a lot to point out about how Dragos did what they did. They were set up in advance. They were prepared for this type of attack, which was basically a social engineering attack. I'm pretending to be a new employee. And by the way, they have obviously resolved that new employee access as well. And now new employees require supervisory approval before their account is provisioned. Supervisory approval. Nobody can come in and say, I'm a new employee, please process me. Begin the processing, and the system automatically gives them an account. That stopped. So again, this is Dragos, and it's deconstructing a cybersecurity event. Tobias put the link into our Facebook page about this. It's well worth the read. This organization, and oh, by the way, I put a link to the Dragos webinar that they offered where they shared about this. I hope somebody had the chance to get to see that. I didn't, because it was a daytime webinar, but if you did, you will watch, you saw the Dragos people sharing themselves about what happened. It's an excellent way to learn. Learn from other people's pain. And Dragos was very open and transparent about what they did. They showed their weaknesses as well as their strengths, and that just made me trust them more. And trust is a big deal in cybersecurity. Trust is a big deal. I don't know if you guys heard, but there's a speculation that another one of those password manager apps has been compromised. Just heard that yesterday. Before, a couple months ago, it was LastPass. Well, this is another one. I think it's called Keeper, I think. So just something to think about. Of course. So you might take a look at that, Nerman.
Yeah, I'm going to do it right now. Like, as soon as we finish, I'm going to check, like, because I'm not happy about that.
Right. You probably won't hear it first through Keeper. You'll hear it first through one of the industry trade sheets or whatever. You'll look and find it in their news.
Yes.
Because, yeah, as I saw it, it said possibly. And of course, go ahead.
I'm sorry for interrupting you. So I just want to say something now. When you said that, I noticed in last 7-8 days, I have been, because I have two-way authentication on, and I have been receiving those codes, like 6 digits codes when you try to log in your app, and we not request. So I didn't make any request for the code. I didn't even try to log in, but I get text message from Keeper saying, like, here is your 6 digits code, and it was really strange. I was like, wow, I'm getting this, like, because I never request any code. So it's something really kind of strange. And now when you said that, so I'm thinking, like, so probably something is going on with them.
Very good. Very good. One last thing, in our last couple minutes, I wanted to share. This is a slide presentation I'm putting together for the Cybersecurity Committee at the Arizona Tech Council. I will be presenting to them soon. Don't know exactly when, but I wanted to show you the title. It's a catchy title, but this is actually what somebody who spoke to me when I mentioned that we were starting this cybersecurity mentorship program. I said, we're doing this, and we're going to be offering this to people to try and get them into entry-level cybersecurity jobs. And she said, oh, that's excellent. And then she said, I'm going to send my whole division to you. I said, oh, really? She said, yeah. And then she sort of said this kind of softly. She said, we're hiring all the wrong people. The point of it is they want quality people, not just technicians, not just people who can run the gears. Yes, running those gears is going to be very important to you, but they don't also want to bring somebody in who is a risk. And if you are a new employee, they don't know you. So they start off by trying to hire for the technical skills, but then later on they say, this person is not as valuable as they might seem, or this person is kind of risky. You know, they They are doing things outside of what we ask them to do on our network or something like that. So remember that, yes, they want technical experts, but most of all, they want good people. So you have to come across in your resume, in your LinkedIn page, in your conversations with people around you, in everything you do, you have to come across as a positive resource. You have to be a positive resource, a good person, a force for good, not just another technical, I call it gunslinger. You know, anybody can learn the tools, but that doesn't make you a good cybersecurity analyst or specialist. So try and focus on being a good person. Help people around you. Be a good people. Yeah, right. So that's important, very important when you're looking for a job. All right? Any last minute conversations? We're on our last minute. Oh, yeah, I saw Prima. Okay, well, thank you, everybody, for participating today. We enjoyed having you. And please do that homework. It will help you. CyberSecurity Sensei homework. Okay?
I missed having data last week. I didn't get to read anything on Facebook or anything. So
right.
That's up now.
There you go. Yep. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Bye, everybody.
All right. Take care.